You are listening to Three Kitchens Podcast, a member of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown, community supported. We release a new episode every Tuesday. Come join us for a new recipe and a good story.
Today's episode of Three Kitchens Podcast is brought to you by the Edmonton Community Foundation.
The Edmonton Community Foundation helps people create endowment funds. You can start an endowment fund yourself or with a group. Once it reaches $10,000, it can start distributing funds.
The Well Endowed podcast, hosted by Andrew Paul and Lisa Pruden, tells the stories of how these endowments intersect with the community and explores how the foundation acts as a bridge between donors and charities to create a strong, vibrant community for generations to come.
Learn more at ecfoundation.org.
Welcome to Three Kitchens. I'm Heather. I'm here with my, I always say co-host, I want to say like cohort or something. I feel like we're like in our little bubble over here. Sarah and Aaron, good morning. How are you?
Good. Good morning and good.
Good and good. It's all good.
Good and good morning. I like that. That's a good one, Sarah.
Just good. Just go with good.
Good.
I used to work with this guy like decades ago who would always say fantastic.
Oh, wow. That's a good morning.
And one time I was like, do you know that you always say fantastic? Like, do you always feel fantastic, or it's just like your auto response? And he gave me this look like, what? I don't even think he realized that that was always his like response. And he was sort of annoyed that I was questioning. I wasn't like being rude or anything. I was just like, yeah, do you realize you always say that? Like, do you honestly always feel fantastic? Because that's pretty good. Most people are like, some days are like, well, fine.
Yeah.
What vitamins are you taking in the morning?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, what's in your coffee, man?
Yeah.
Can I smell your coffee, please?
Something good in there.
Oh gosh. Well, I don't want to talk about the weather because that's such a typical thing, but I'm loving the weather right now.
I know.
Come on. This is like last year's fall was amazing because we get like 3 days. It's like fall for 3 days here, and then it's winter. So when we get this extended fall, and I was even hearing a report saying that like the leaves are greener on the trees at this time of year than any other, like we're having a real fall, guys.
I know. Yeah. It's so great.
And you know what? It was the same last year. It took a long time for the leaves to leave the trees.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about that is that it will snow and then you've still got leaves to rake, and it makes a mess. It will.
Heather.
Not immediately. We have to like 27 degrees today or something.
Right?
I'm not cursing.
Sugar
us.
In your coffee?
Yeah. Come on. Where's the sugars?
I'm just playing my role as curmudgeon because apparently that's what I am.
Morning curmudgeon.
Good morning, Miss Curmudgeon.
How are you going to rain on my day today? No.
She snowed on it.
She didn't even rain on our day. She snowed on our day. So a couple years back, we took a impromptu little trip to Montreal, and it was cold. The leaves are already off the trees. It was raining. It was cold. So we went to the botanical garden in Montreal for the day.
Okay.
And they had this fantastic setup in one of their greenhouses, and it was all these bonsai trees, and some of them were like over 100 years old. And because it was fall and the leaves were coming off the trees outside, all of the little bonsais also had their little leaves, turning colors. And it was just so beautiful to
like
see
the
these
miniature ones,
little tiny trees with little tiny leaves. So all the little trees, there were little maples and little elms, and they all had these beautiful little tiny leaves that were also turning red and yellow and falling off around the tree. And so my husband, who loves gardening, this inspired him a few years back to start his own little bonsai tree from a seed. I believe I discussed this with you guys back in season 1. I was telling you guys about the stick.
The stick.
Was watering in the basement over the winter and how my kids were like, sticks don't grow in dirt, Dad. So it's been a couple years now.
Yeah.
I thought I would update you on the progress of the bonsai.
I thought the last time we heard about it, it had died.
No,
And they
why
came
did I
back to
think
life.
it came back to life.
Yeah.
It did get slightly over fertilized at the beginning of this year because my husband made an oops while he was fertilizing and so I wasn't sure if it was going to come back. It was a little bit touch and go. And so parts of the stick did get thoroughly trimmed this year, and now we're good again. So it's gone through 2 winters. So now this will be its 3rd winter, and it's growing really well. And it's doing great. It's coming back to life. We have to constantly, he's always trimming it and doing little things to it.
Well, that's what you do with the bonsai, right?
Right. And he's also got some wire around it because he's trying to bend it and shape it in its own little way, because that's also part of it. And I also had a chance to do some research on it. And so bonsai trees we often associate with Japanese culture.
Right. I was going to ask you what it is. Okay.
Yeah, so it actually originated in China in the 700s, I think it goes back to.
Who documented these things that back?
Well,
so crazy.
I feel like they were something that the higher society people had, and
so they wrote about it.
They wrote about it. There's pictures painted.
Well, you know, a peasant is not bothering with trimming a tree with teeny scissors. Like, they got other stuff to do,
like find food.
Yeah.
And so I guess the Chinese came up with this hobby of growing these miniature trees inside, and then it made it over to Japan.
Yeah.
And so it was originally called Penjing. It's spelled Penjing.
Okay.
So I believe it means little tree or tiny tree is like the exact translation, which makes sense. But when it and then it went over to Japan, and they kind of have sort of slightly different techniques and stuff.
Right.
But I thought it was sort of interesting how the 2 cultures sort of things translated over time.
Bonsai trees are just miniature trees, and they can be any kind of tree?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my question. I didn't realize that. I thought it was a type of
specific. Yeah, okay.
No, it just means tiny tree. So it's just taking a tree and keeping it in a smaller pot, a smaller environment, and then manipulating it to
not grow,
have a shape. And I think there are traditional shapes for both Japanese and Chinese bonsai trees. And yeah, so
do you have the tree? Let's see it. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
So this is the bonsai right now, and I don't know if you can see. I'll take a picture, but there's a little wire here that's helping hold it out.
Yeah.
And it's not turning yet because we're having such a marvelous fall.
It's green still. Yeah.
But it's all green. It's got really big leaves.
Yeah.
And where does it sit? Like, where do you put this tree? Like, is it in your living room?
No, it currently just sits like on top of our dresser in our bedroom because
in your room.
We have a nice, well, it's like northeast facing, so you get the morning sun. And sometimes it goes outside for little, outside holidays. But yeah, it's not just a stick.
It's very pretty.
That's amazing.
It's very cool looking.
Do you have a picture of it when it was a stick?
I'm sure we've got pictures of it just being
okay. If you do,
a stick, I'll have to do a before and after.
Do the before and after, and we'll post it on our social media so everybody can see the little bonsai. That's so cute.
And as you know, this is also the legacy bonsai.
This is their inheritance.
This is our children's inheritance. Like someday,
the heirloom.
Yeah, this is your heirloom tree because
enjoy it because there's nothing else coming for you.
Coming down the pipes to you other than this little tree.
You cost us too much money right now. There will be nothing for you later.
Yeah. If you want an inheritance, you're gonna have to start eating less.
Yeah.
We've run down a little bit of a rabbit hole.
That's okay.
So let's.
I have a recipe. I'm going to be making food, but there's not a lot to say up front, so that's okay that we talked about some other stuff. Okay, what I'm going to make for you is I'm going to make pierogi.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
I haven't made pierogi in a long time, and I was like, Yes, that's
Why
what
did
I've
I
been
think
wanting to make
we
it.
did this? But I guess we didn't. We just talk a lot about it.
Did we talk about
We've
it?
talked about
We've
pierogies
talked about
Oh,
pierogies a lot.
because
Yeah.
we love pierogies so
Yeah.
much, I think.
and when they're homemade, they're so good. They're so
Yes.
good. A pierogi is just a dumpling, and we have done dumplings in
Mm-hmm.
a few different ways, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think of like an empanada, that's
Yep.
sort of the same, right? It's stuffed dough, it's just cooked differently.
Right.
Where a pierogi is boiled and then maybe pan fried after.
I would say it has to definitely be pan fried after. If I can put my pierogi preferences out there.
I like them pan fried
Do
too.
you? Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
I like them that way too. My husband does not. He likes them
What?
just
He
boiled.
likes a
Oh,
soggy
interesting.
pierogi.
It's not soggy. It's just, it's a different
Yeah.
texture. They're good that way. They're just not, I like a little bit of browning on them.
You need that little bit of like crunch when you bite into it.
Just
to
a
go
little.
through. That little.
Yeah, just a little. Well, we also had, didn't you make ravioli?
Oh yeah,
But
ravioli.
we also
is
had a ravioli,
also-
which is very similar to a pierogi. So pierogi
Okay,
is
that's
like
right.
Eastern European version of a dumpling. So there you go.
Mhm.
The dough is, well, depends which recipe you look at. They're all similar but slightly different. So flour, salt, butter, egg. Sometimes they have sour cream in the
in the dough.
In the
dough.
dough. Oh, okay.
And actually, I have made them before, and I don't think the recipe I used had sour cream. Although now I can't find the recipe that I used. I don't know what I did with it. It came from a friend of mine, and I don't know what I did with it. But anyway, they're very similar recipes. And the difference comes in what you put inside them.
Right.
And there's all kinds of things. Traditionally, potato, mashed potato, dill, cheddar, bacon, cottage cheese, onion, like any combination of those types of fillings. I haven't decided what I'm going to put in them.
You know what? My tummy really likes this talk because it's talking right now. I'm like, shh, quiet.
I have
Quiet
a
down.
Polish friend, and she said you can also make it with like an apple filling.
Oh,
Like-
you can put blueberries and make them dessert.
She was talking about that once when I was at her place.
I made them with butternut squash as a breakfast pierogi before. Then you put maple syrup and bacon.
That sounds good. That
So
sounds really good.
Because I ate them that way at Queen's
Yeah,
Breakfast
that's right.
and Cocktail.
That's
That
right.
restaurant near. Oh, they were a special at the time. They were so good. Then I was like, I have to make that. And I made them, and we ate them up so fast. Like,
Oh, I'm so glad you're doing this.
yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to put in them. Or maybe I'll do more than one filling. I don't know. I mean, if you're going to make pierogi, you may as well. It's like dumpling. Like make a whole bunch because it is some work. You're going to spend like all day pretty much making
So you're
pierogi.
making the wrapper, and then the way you guys have made pierogies before, do you have to roll out the dough and then cut circles out of it?
Yeah, and then you put your filling inside and then you pinch it together.
Okay.
And they freeze so well,
They freeze so well.
Yeah,
okay.
they
right?
do.
So it's worth it to make a big batch, freeze them, and then have that stock in your freezer if you can resist not
They
eating
don't
them
last.
all.
They don't last.
I always tell myself, this is like 3 months worth of pierogies.
Yeah, sure.
And then they're gone in 2 weeks. And I'm
Yeah.
like, ah!
And we ate pierogies every day.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, I'd like to borrow the pasta bike if I can. I think that'll make the rolling out faster.
You betcha.
Yes.
I just made pierogies and sausages for dinner like the other night.
You
So
did? You made them?
Oh, no. I bought the frozen pierogies
Oh, okay.
because I just don't have time for that shit right now.
It's also good. It's also good. Let's be real. Frozen pierogies are also good.
I'm feeling I'm in pierogi season full on here.
Oh,
so I'm very
totally.
excited. for
It is
this.
pierogi season. It feels like pierogi season. Totally.
Yeah,
Well, I'm excited. So excited to eat this.
me too.
Great choice, Heather.
I hope
Very
it'll
good.
be good.
Yes, they will be good.
Pierogies.
Pierogi time.
This episode of Three Kitchens Podcast is brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. Even if you're a busy business owner with more meetings than hours in a day, you are calm and collected when your group benefit plan is taken care of by Alberta Blue Cross.
Your employees can manage their own health, dental, life, and disability coverage online, anytime, on any device. making it easier for them and for you.
To learn more and explore your options, head to av.bluecross.ca. Welcome back. Through the magic of audio podcasting, we have, within 30 seconds, we have made pierogies, eaten pierogies, and now we're ready to talk about pierogies. Okay, so in the end, I ended up making 2 types of dough for my pierogi, as you guys found out. That wasn't my plan.
Okay.
But it ended up that way. So, but the filling was the same in all of them. So let me start with the filling, because you would want to make your filling first.
Yes.
Have it done ahead of time. If you try to do all of it in one day, it's too much. Pierogies are labor intensive. It's better to make your filling ahead of time. So what I put in mine was spinach, potato, and feta filling. So you're going to cook your potatoes and mash them up, just plain old potatoes, but be aware of how much you salt your water. You might want to salt it a little less than you normally would for potatoes, just because you're going to add feta at the end. Feta can be sometimes salty, and you can always adjust your salt at the end of it. Saute onions and garlic, and then you're going to put that into the potato that you've mashed up. Put your spinach on the same pan, big pile of spinach. The recipe will have all the amounts. Thank you. Spinach on your pan till it wilts down. Put that into your filling, stir it all together. You're going to crumble feta cheese, and then your seasonings are salt to taste, as I said, pepper and nutmeg. And I think the nutmeg sounds like what, but I think that was essential.
Oh, that was the thing that I was like, what is this? What is this? And it took me a little bit, and then I was like, boom, I know what this is. And then I was so in love.
I know. I thought that was so great. This recipe, by the way, is from everydaydelicious.com. I used that filling recipe, and the recipe is called, hang on, let me just get to it. You got to scroll and scroll and scroll the recipe.
But you don't have to scroll and scroll and scroll on our website.
No, you do not. That's right. And that's intentional, because we hate to scroll. Yeah. Okay, so this is the pink pierogi with spinach, potato, and feta cheese filling recipe. Okay, so I saw the photo when I was scrolling around pierogi recipes of these pink pierogi, and they just looked so beautiful that I was like, I want to try making pink pierogi. So any guesses on what made that dough pink?
Beet.
Did you taste it? Could you taste the beet?
I thought both pierogis tasted different. So you made one pink pierogi and you made one not pink pierogi, and I thought they tasted different, and I wasn't sure if it was the filling that was different or the dough. And so now that you said the filling was the same, I would say I tasted it, but I didn't know it. Do you know what I mean?
It was beet. It's beet juice is the liquid in the dough. Okay. So I happened to have some pureed beets in my freezer from my garden from last year, and I didn't know if I'd one day make borscht or something with them, and I just kind of had, and I thought, when I saw this, I thought, ooh, I've got that beet puree, here's something I can do with it. I had 1.5 cups of pureed beets that I strained through cheesecloth on a strainer over a bowl, and I just let it go like all day long, just left it there. And I got 3/4 cup of beet juice out of it, which was exactly what I needed for the dough. It worked out perfectly. So the dough is flour, salt, butter, or vegetable oil. I used butter, beet juice or water if you don't want it pink, and that's it. Just a note, if you're using beet juice and you're going to do it by hand, wear some gloves. Beet juice stains your hands and everything else. So just watch out. Every time you hit the countertop, I was like wiping because I was like, I don't want purple all over everything. Let's see here. So you're going to warm the beet juice and some water. You'll see all the measurements in the recipe. When it's warm but not boiling, you take it off the heat, you add your butter, and you let it melt in there. Then you pour that into your flour, and you mix it with a wooden spoon until you can get to the point of kneading it. You could also put it in your stand mixer with a hook, which I did.
Good idea.
Just for about 5 minutes. This dough came together super quick. It was really easy to handle. Once you got your ball, you're just going to let it rest for like 30 minutes or longer. If you don't have time right away to get to it, it's fine. Then you could divide it into smaller portions, roll it out, cut your circles. What I did was what Sarah recommended, which was to take little balls. I weighed each one. One of my kids put it through the pasta bike.
Right.
So you got a little circle.
Like how much did each ball weigh?
I did between 25 and 30 grams, like you recommended. On average, they were about 27 or 28 grams. And I didn't have any extra bits.
Perfect.
How many times did you have to put it through the pasta bite?
Okay, so this was a little trial and error. I started at 0, which is the widest, moved it up to 1, then moved it to 3, and put it through 3 twice. So I think 4 times through.
Okay, okay.
0, 1, 3, 3.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
But this way you don't waste all that beautiful dough you made, right? Especially the
and you're
pink
not
stuff.
working it too much. You're not like rolling it out and then collecting the scraps and rolling it again and collect. Like you're just rolling it once.
Yeah.
Well,
And you can tell because it's not super chewy. The more you work a dough like this, it gets chewy. This did not.
Exactly. You don't want to keep working it. Plus, it gets more flour every time you have to roll it out, so it gets dry.
Yeah.
You take your circle. You put. I think it's the recipe says a teaspoon, but I just kind of put I used my little cookie scoop.
Yeah.
That you guys gave me, which I think is more like a tablespoon. I think
it actually says it on the little thing. You can read how much your cookie, because you can get cookie scoops of different portion sizes.
Okay, whoops, I didn't look at it, but anyway, I think it looks like about a tablespoon, maybe a little less than a tablespoon.
Yeah,
and you put it kind of on one, like in the middle.
Yes.
In your hand, pinch it together and kind of fold it over. I'm no expert on pinching together a dumpling. Like, don't look to my pierogi to see how to fold a pierogi because they don't look great, and I'm not that good at it. But they held together. Put a little bit of water on the edge of it. Pinch it together however you like to.
Yeah.
Or use one of those pierogi press. Yeah.
Oh, those presses, the pierogi press.
I don't know. There's something about the homemade folded ones and their imperfection that just, I don't know, it like tastes better because you know that somebody has put it together. Even it doesn't need to look beautiful to me. I don't know.
Okay, so what happened was I followed this recipe for the filling and the dough, and I had way more filling than dough.
That's right.
I don't know. That just happens sometimes, right? But it's a good problem to have. I could have just saved it for later.
Yeah.
But I decided to make another dough so that I can make more pierogi because it didn't make as many as the recipe said. I think the recipe said something like 70 pierogi, and I think I got like 38 or something. Like it was not as many pierogi, and I don't know why sometimes that happens. So then I decided to look up another pierogi recipe. This recipe is quite a bit different. It's from natashaskitchen.com, which we have used.
Yeah, we have used. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a borscht recipe from her that was fantastic.
That's right. Really good. She's got some great recipes. And her filling's different if you look at her pierogi recipe, but the dough is what I used for this. And this is water, milk, oil, an egg, salt, and flour. So this is more what I would say, what I had learned in my life is a bit what I think is more traditional. I did not do on the countertop with my mountain of flour and everything in the middle.
Right.
And I used my mixer.
I just came across the video of when I tried to make pierogies like that. And I was getting my son to take a video and it was like flying all over the place. And I was like, this is a disaster. So I'm really glad you didn't do that.
And then cleaning up the countertops, I find like you have to wipe them down repeatedly for like all day long because the film of the flour keeps showing up.
You need one of those scrapers to like scrape it off too. It's awful.
Yeah, it's such a mess. And I always think of Sarah's robe.
Yes.
Covered in
I don't have that robe anymore. Thank goodness.
Okay. So you're kind of doing this the same way, it's just slightly different ingredients. This dough was much more sticky. I had to add more flour when it was in working with the dough hook. I added like a tablespoon at a time to get to a point where I could handle it.
Right.
Because it was stickier. And even when we were making the balls and putting them through the pass machine, we were flouring our hands. In this case, we swapped roles and my son was making the balls and he had to keep flouring his little hands so it wouldn't stick too much because it's a softer, stickier dough.
Okay.
But it was also easy to work with. And I thought at the end there was quite a difference in the pierogi, the two types of dough in the texture.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know what you guys thought.
I loved both. I thought that the white ones were softer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out the words for the texture, but I mean, we have all eaten pierogies before, and neither were chewy, but one was like, it was almost more delicate to bite into, and that were the white ones. Those were the white ones. What did you think?
Yeah, I would agree. Like I said, I noticed a difference between the two, and I thought, is the filling different? Because it looks the same, and I think it tastes the same, but something was different in the flavor and the texture for sure between the two of them. And
Yeah, but the filling,
yeah, like
everything.
that filling. I really liked that filling. I loved the look of the pink ones, but I definitely liked, if I was to pick one that I liked better, it would be the white ones. The dough on it was different in a better way.
I agree. It was more traditional pierogi. That the beet one was a little, I would say, not chewy, but chewier. Like it had a bit more of a, you had to like to put your fork through it.
Yeah, there was more
little
resistance.
Yeah,
well, that's
it was
the word.
almost more like I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, it was a stiffer
None
dough.
of us have gone to chef school to learn like the actual words to use, but
Nope.
I think
Do they teach it?
I think
that
we're
at
getting
chef
through.
school?
I don't know.
Is that a class? I liken it to pasta, where you had al dente has a bit more of a bite through it, and then a softer. I don't know what you call
Isn't
it.
Isn't it al dente?
Sorry. Now she's correcting my Italian, like she's an expert Italian speaker now.
I'm not an expert.
I love that Erin's the one correcting the pronunciation.
It's funny, Heather, because I say al dente too, so I don't know. Like
Oh
now
my
I'm just
God.
like, oh, is it not supposed to be that?
Now I've just called myself out, and everyone's going to be like, duh, Sarah and Heather are right, Erin.
No, you're
No,
probably
maybe
right.
not. You're probably right. So
Yeah,
I don't
It doesn't matter. I think we all know what I'm talking about.
Kathy from Women Who Podcast magazine sent me this meme. Can you read it?
When you try to pronounce the name of your prescriptions, but accidentally summon Satan instead.
And she sent that to me and said,
Oh my gosh.
thought of you three when trying to pronounce ingredients. And I think she hit the nail on the head.
I don't know who we've summoned with that one.
Yeah, and there's just a creepy goat standing in the doorway of someone's home. There is the picture. I mean, we've had incidents with goats in the past, Sarah, when we've released goats out of the petting zoos.
This was...
right.
Yeah.
Hey, I did a whole episode where, like, the entire first half, I was pronouncing the French word wrong.
Exactly. So, that's
it
us.
happens.
We haven't summoned Satan yet, but
that we know
some
of.
good laughs. Maybe he's working for Meta.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Messing with our Instagram account.
They were so good, Heather. The pierogies were amazing. Like, it was so nice to have homemade pierogies. So much better than the store-bought stuff. You could
And I don't
totally
think
taste.
I've ever had that type, like with the spinach and
the
the feta
spinach,
in there. Oh, that was so good.
I had never had it either, and now it's like, oh, I mean, I love a traditional, like I love all the potato or the cottage cheese. I think I don't know if I've ever had a pierogi I didn't like, but I love this. I would make this again.
Yeah, that filling was winner.
Yeah. And it's like perfect to pack for the kids, send to school.
We didn't talk about cooking pierogi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go there.
I was bad and I made an assumption that Sarah knew how to cook pierogies and I didn't give any instructions. And then she's like, what do I do with these? So you know, rolling boil, they can be frozen when you throw them in there. You want to boil them until they pop to the surface, which usually takes 2 to 3 minutes, depending on where you live and how much of a boil you've got going or whatever. And then you can just eat them like that. My husband likes a boiled pierogi. He does not like it pan fried. So I usually leave some out at that point and then fry them for the rest of us because we all like them fried in butter or bacon fat.
With onions.
Yes. So if you've done your sauteed onions, some bacon, I was going to do all that for you guys, but I didn't even do it for my family because I just ran out of steam and I was like, oh, I'm not doing the onions and the bacon or whatever. I'm just not. So we had them pan fried in butter, and I had a little like sauerkraut on the side and a salad. Like that's how we eat them at my house.
Very
Go
nice.
crazy. However,
Wow.
like
I never thought
all
about
the
that.
stuff.
That would have been delicious. Some bacon on top.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have.
Now we get to go and make more pierogies.
Yeah.
And
Make some
more of
pierogi.
them. So worth it.
Yeah. Very good. Very different.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah. And now for the fine print. Join us over on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest, and on our website at threekitchenspodcast.com. And remember, when you like, follow, subscribe, and review, it helps more people find us. Thank you so much for listening.
I don't know who we've summoned with that one.
Yeah, and there's just a creepy goat standing in the doorway of someone's home.